have a reservation.
To have your reservation.
She was a rich lady. That day she was dripping wet and was despised by the hotel receptionist.
May I suggest you explore Chinatown?
She was extremely angry and wanted to call her husband.
May I use your phone to call my husband?
She expressed her anger, then came back angrily. There's a ding sound, then the hotel owner flew down from the top floor. The rich woman's husband had solved it smoothly. He used the most traditional Chinese method, which was buying the hotel.
Meet the new lady of the house. Do get a mop. The floor's swept.
Her name was Rachel. She was a young professor of economics at New York University. This is her boyfriend. Recently they were planning to go home to meet their families. The boyfriend's family was in the Far East. This made the girl growing up in America very nervous. She consulted her mother. It was just when Rachel got on the plane, she was shocked. They were flying first class.
After takeoff, would you like to enjoy the lounge chairs? Should we convert your sweet and refreshing? We're good, thank you.
In the first class cabin, Rachel questioned for the first time.
So your family is rich?
We're comfortable.
That is exactly what a super rich person would say.
She was right. Her boyfriend was Singapore's first rich man. He had a lot of money. Their love soon spread across Singapore. At the national husband's girlfriend, all netizens dropped their jaws in surprise. Everyone wanted to contribute to the article. Of course, at that time Rachel didn't know it. She was still disturbed that she was fooled by her boyfriend and for so long. What should she do when she met his parents? Countless rumors surrounding their love story had been passed to her mother-in-law. Here is her expression and attitude.
Rachel comes, I think she might be more comfortable staying somewhere else.
Obviously, she was not going to accept this daughter-in-law. At the front door of her boyfriend's house, Rachel was dumbfounded.
Beautiful. 200 mil worth of real estate.
This was not a house, obviously, this was a palace.
Oh, no. Those are a few fingers.
Would a rich man like a poor girl? Maybe yes, but his mother maybe not. Rachel was the youngest professor at New York University, but the rich still didn't respect her.
They use youngest faculty members.
She hates me.
She was excellent, but she didn't have social connections. In Asia, connections was worth more than capital.
So you're not from a Taiwan Chu family?
Nope.
Furthermore, in this circle of rich giants, outsiders easily made a scene. In embarrassment, Rachel spilled her wine. Her boyfriend had to go upstairs to change clothes.
I already thought Alma was a cook.
Everyone at the party knew about Rachel's incident. Even her future mother-in-law.
They might be excited that the first girl that I bring home is a Chinese professor.
Chinese American.
Rachel tried to show off, so her mother-in-law didn't like it. She felt that she was not dignified enough.
They forget who they are.
Of course, there are tons of people who didn't like Rachel. The longer she stayed, the more they talked bad about her.
Rachel bringing to the table. Oh, small tits.
Hey.
After all, everyone felt that Rachel was not deserved enough to enter the rich circle. This time she came with her boyfriend because she wanted to join the wedding. During the party Rachel could only go alone. Leaving the protective arm of the prince, she had to face wicked wolves herself.
No. I'm not gonna make a scene.
Marrying the rich wasn't easy. Even if you are a professor at New York University, when faced with harsh words, it's difficult to be able to fight it. I thought I was here to meet your family. Why? What? Were you trying to test me? Why would you do that? When we first met, you had no idea who I was, who my family was. Luckily, her boyfriend was an understanding person. We'll get through it together. Leaving the party Rachel and her boyfriend went back. They went home to make some dumplings. Rich people wrapping the dumplings weren't in an ordinary way. Even the filling had to be in flower shape and was put neatly on the plate. The wealth was everywhere. During the party, Rachel realized that wrapping the dumplings was one of the most important activities in their family. Did you guys all learn when you were kids? That's right. Our Ma says if we don't pass traditions down like this, they'll disappear. It seems that her boyfriend's family not only despised Rachel's family, but also didn't like her American background. They felt that a girl like that wouldn't want to contribute anything to the family after getting married. Coming out of the living room, her mother-in-law went to find Rachel. I'm afraid that I've been unfair. Our Ma thought I would not make an adequate wife to her son. But she came around, obviously. You will never be enough. Rich people were just full of calculations sometimes. Regardless of whether it's satisfied or not. Back, bitch, here you go. Even if the rich mother-in-law felt that she was unworthy, Rachel still wanted to give it a try. With the encouragement of her best friend, Rachel finally had the look of rich people. She was immediately full of confidence. You're in my way. This is the scene of a 40 million marriage ceremony. The dense forest, rice field, and the bright lights, there was even a river. During the ceremony, no one sat with Rachel, so she found an empty spot. Princess Intan, Rachel. Everyone knew that this princess was very indifferent. Nobody wanted to involve with her, but Rachel could make her laugh. I read your great article about microloans. This made her mother-in-law gave her an appreciative look. Her boyfriend was obvious. His eyes were filled with love. She had passed the first barrier. Her mother-in-law saw her son's eyes. Her expression turned cold. This love truly touched the heart. The second barrier was the grandmother. When talking to adults, Rachel didn't show her tough side. It's clear you're a very smart woman, but I will not permit you to ruin my grandson with your ambition. She just didn't expect her family to be exposed by a private detective. When she was young, Rachel's mother fled to America and gave birth to Rachel. Rachel was a stepchild. It's all in here. You had no right. We cannot be linked to this sort of family. Even Rachel didn't know that. Blood rushed up to her head, she turned and left. This move was really evil. It really knocked Rachel down. Luckily someone reached for Rachel's mother. It's her boyfriend. She felt that the only one who could cheer her up now was her mother. When she talked to her mother about the past, Rachel finally let it go. She met her boyfriend at the pier, then made an appointment to see her mother-in-law. They used the most Chinese-style way of talking, playing mahjong. On the table, Rachel got a card. She knew that this card was a life and death card. If she held it, she would win. If she turned it, her mother-in-law would win. Your son Nick proposed to me last night. He said he'd walk away from his family and you, for good. Rachel chose to turn the card. Don't worry, I turned him down. Her mother-in-law let out a breath. But she couldn't understand it. She asked Rachel why she gave up the money that was in her hands. So you chose for him. I don't want him to lose his mom again. Rachel has come up with the only option that was good for her boyfriend, that was to leave. She used her way to prove to her mother-in-law that she was willing to sacrifice for her boyfriend. She walked out freely. The two mothers looked at each other. The mother-in-law drooped her eyes. Rachel went to her best friend's house to pack her luggage. That's why I respect you. Mother-in-law came home and knocked on her son's door. The boyfriend chased her to the plane. There, he proposed to her. That ring used to belong to her mother-in-law. This proved that the arrogant lady finally accepted Rachel. In this game of life, the mother-in-law had chosen the best way for her son. Gave up a win or lose, gave her blessings to both of them. This was probably a traditional Asian culture. Classic but not outdated.